said, guys, this is not a gotcha type of debate. There won't be any weird questions asked. This is just a meaningful discourse. So just to give you some context, because some of you may not know who I am, and I will not pretend to be someone that I'm not. I am not some sort of big political influencer. I am merely just a lifelong Vegas local. I'm a business owner. I have been involved in civic matters and advocacy matters in my recent years, and I felt it very important to have a way to discern between good actors and bad actors in politics. And that is incredibly hard to do, as you guys may know. So this is what I would call one of the most powerful vetting methods for our constituents, especially Gen Z. In a world where everyone is being a content creator or podcaster or this or that, I wanted to give people the opportunity to actually hear from their candidates without blanket endorsements that don't have any scrutiny. So this is the intention behind this, is to be one of hopefully many. Whether the following events are done in person or virtual, I think virtual was a great way to just test the waters. I want to recognize the strong turnout from two parties. We have a great Republican turnout. We have a great Libertarian turnout. And so I appreciate you both for being here. Of course, we did send invites to multiple Democratic candidates. They chose not to participate, but that does not mean any sort of exclusion. We want them to be present. We want these conversations to take place. Also, we're missing some of the ladies. It's just the guy circle today, but please just note that was not on purpose. We love our ladies in politics. So with that being said, let me see, is there anyone else trying to get inside the meeting here? Oh, my apologies. Okay, we have one more attendee that just joined us. But anyways, if you missed that, it's in the recording. Regardless, I have been speaking for the past 2 minutes, which is too many minutes in a row. So what I will do now is I'd like to have an introduction from everyone, and I'll do this in a timed manner. So if you pass the time, I will merely state time. If you do not stop talking within 3 seconds, I will mute you and move on to the next person. So please exercise brevity. I want this to be debate night, not introduction night. So I'm gonna engage my timer here. All right. And first on the list here, no preference in particular, just going by sign up. I would like to have Jim. Jim, is it Blockey?
Yes, sir.
All right. Jim Blockey, please, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself in 60 seconds or less. The clock is, hold on a second. All right. No, that's 59 minutes. Okay, this is what happened. All right, 59 seconds, please, sir, starting now.
Marlon, I really appreciate what you're doing and trying to get the young people into being intelligent voters. It's just an awesome thing you're doing. Me, I give glory to God right now, and when I say God, I'm talking about the Father of Jesus Christ, which is pretty sad that in America that you have to define who your God is. And because of a lot of the law-wide Democrats is what we call them, they've genericized God to the point of we don't know who it is. It could be your car, it could be a tree. Al Gore likes trees. That's what he thinks is God. And so it's sad. But one of the things that needs to be brought back to America is the moral values. And the moral values are only going to be brought through by the Father of Jesus Christ. And that's the only way. And George Washington said in his farewell address to the country, reason and experience both forbid you can have a national morality without a biblical principle. He said religious principle, but when they said religious, they were talking about the Bible. That's what we need to get back to.
That's time, sir. All right. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I would also like to recognize that we just had a new candidate just present himself as well. J.E. Houston, thank you for joining, sir. I will now move on to the next candidate. Actually, J.E., you were next in line, but since you just got here, I'll give you some breathing room. Just to recap what is taking place here, we're just doing introductions, just 1-minute introductions. So next time, why don't I go ahead and by the way, I'll disclose whether or not I know you or not because of preference, just for for transparency. So I know Tighe, we have met before. And so, sir, I would want to get to know you a little bit more, and I'm sure everyone else would like to. Can you go ahead and introduce yourself within a minute? And please go ahead.
My name is Tighe Galvin. I'm the chair of the Libertarian Party of Clark County, and I'm a candidate for Assembly District 21. I'm also a special education teacher here in CCSD. Everyone here in Southern Nevada is realizing that the system is not only broken, but it's rigged. Democrats, Republicans, and those that have caucused with the two have led this country down the path of endless wars, endless spending, and of constitutional erosion. Our government is filled with special interests and those that do their bidding. From tax subsidies going to Allegiant Stadium or public permits for F1, it's all the same. Government picking winners. I'm running as a libertarian because I'm fed up with how our government has consistently lied to us. I want to take power away from our increasingly centralized state and return it to the individual, which is how our country was intended to be. The government cannot be trusted to run our lives or any aspects of them for any longer. Our federal government is full of pedophile rapists and those that are willing to protect them. They hate us and they see us nothing more than cattle. It's long past the time when Americans should take back their country from the corrupt and insane two-party system, and I want to start here in Nevada.
All right, perfect. Right on the dot. Great finish. Thank you, sir. All right, so we heard from a Republican. We heard from a Libertarian. Next, I believe we have our one and only independent here. J.E., is that correct? I believe you're running as independent. Okay, fantastic, sir.
Oh,
So,
yes. How you doing? How y'all doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. So why don't you go ahead, sir, and introduce yourself in a minute, and the floor is yours, starting now.
Well, I am J.E. Houston II, and I am running because I see the problems for what they're worth. I've lived all over the country. I've lived in New York City. I've lived in Houston, Texas. I've lived in Los Angeles. I've lived in the Bay Area, San Jose to be exact. So I've lived in 4 of the top 10 cities in size and scope in this whole entire country. I also grew up in a very small agricultural town, so I understand the small town nature of Las Vegas. For the most part, my perspective is the things that need to be changed are the things that make a city, a state, and our country. Plain and simply, if our people are suffering, we need to find a solution to keep them from suffering. If our people are
Sir, that's time. Thank you. That was great. So we're just cutting off at the minute. But Jay, it was a pleasure getting to know you and your campaign. We'll continue going on to the next candidate. The reason we're pushing through these is we simply just want to have everyone introduced and then get into the fun of the debate. So next up, Rafael Arroyo, would you like to introduce yourself, sir? How you doing?
Yes, excellent. Hello, everybody. My name is Rafael Arroyo. I'm running for Senate District 12. That's on the south side of town, Silverado Ranch area and Green Valley. And, I'm a small business owner. I was born in Puerto Rico, but I've been in Vegas since I was 6. And Nevada is really important to me. I got 5 kids, and I want to make sure that they grow up in a state where they have opportunities. They grow up in a state that's efficiently run. And if we do not change the direction of the state, then we're going to end up exactly like our neighbors out west, like California, Washington, and Oregon, which I think are definitely going in the wrong direction.
Thank you. Wow, you have someone within the minute. That's great. You had like 20 more seconds. Anything else you want to say? You want to use up those 20 or you're good?
No, we're good.
Okay, perfect. I love it. All right. Next up, why don't we go? We're going to rotate. Let's get another Libertarian. Stephen Borella, would you go ahead and introduce yourself, sir? Give me one moment. Let me make sure I reset the timer here so that I don't give you 5 seconds. I'll give you the full time. All right. Rotate here. All right. And we're ready for you, Stephen.
Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Stephen Borella, and I'm running for Clark County Recorder. I don't come into this race as a career politician. I was raised by an 18-year-old single mother, and from a young age, I learned something simple. When something needs to be done, you step up and do the work. I was born with 2 fingers on my hand, and I never make any excuses for it. I will say I'll never make an excuse being the recorder either. The recorder's office may not always make headlines, but it matters in people's lives. It protects the records of our homes, our properties, and documents families rely on every day. Those records deserve efficiency, transparency, and respect for the public. They also deserve respect for people's privacy. Right now, certain government officials receive privacy protections that many residents do not. I believe privacy shouldn't be reserved for people in power. It should be something every resident can count on. My goal is simple: modernize the office, improve efficiency, and advocate for stronger privacy protections for the people of Clark County. Thank you.
Wow, right on the dot. Thank you so much, Stephen. I appreciate your introduction. Why don't we go ahead and rotate back since we don't have any Democrats here. Drew, I don't want to butcher your last name. What's your last name?
No worries. Teitelbaum.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, Drew, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Well, I'm Drew Teitelbaum. I'm running as a Republican for Assembly District 2, which is most of Summerlin, and really kind of, if you divide Vegas into a tic-tac-toe board, it's the left central quadrant. And I kind of really appreciate the theme that this forum tonight's built around. Looking forward to engaging with everyone. But the fact is, partisanship is permanent, and standing by our values is okay, even if they differ. We don't always have to agree, but you do have to solve the problems for the people with the hand you're dealt. So whether that's we're in the context of a two-party system normally, whether that's you're in the majority or the minority of, in my case, potentially the Assembly, or in Rafael's case, the Senate, you have to figure out how to get your values across and part of the agenda, regardless of the hand you're dealt. My campaign is built on being families first. That's the families of today and the families of tomorrow, being able to have the economic base that they need in order to be able to live the lifestyle they want. Campaigning on infrastructure development, public safety, education, and economic development.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. All right. What do we hear next from Zackaraih? Zackaraih, again, I'm sorry I want to butcher your last name. What is your last name?
All good. My last name is Lysaght.
All right. That's a cool last name, man. All right, Zackaraih, you've heard this format already a few times. The floor is yours.
All right. Well, my name is Zackaraih Lysaght. I'm the at-large representative for the Clark County Libertarian Party. I'm running for Nevada Assembly District 19. I was born in the state. My family's roots run deep here in Nevada soil. To me, Nevada is not simply a place on a map. It represents something rare in the modern world. It represents the belief that individuals should be free to stand on their own 2 feet, make their own choices, and keep what they earn. That means protecting privacy, protecting freedom of religion, protecting freedom of sexuality, freedom of association, freedom of everything possible. We can be an example for not just the union, but for everywhere around the world, a leader in freedom. And I think that's what we should be, nothing less than a leader in freedom.
Thank you, Zackaraih. Appreciate your comments. All right. Next up, and again, I disclose this with, he is a close friend of mine, but don't let that fool you. This is a serious debate. So my good friend, Joey Charafi, please introduce yourself.
Hey, my name is Joseph Charafi. I live here in Clark County for 31 years. I went to school out here. I've built my life out here. I'm raising my family out here. This community helped me shape who I am, and that is one of the reasons why I decided to run for Assembly District 8. So I believe in public service. I believe it begins with a simple idea. And if you see a problem in your community, you step forward and you help fix it. Plain and simple. Over the last several years, I've been working with local organizations and law enforcement through Stop the Traffic Foundation this year. And to fight child trafficking exploitation here in Nevada, we need strong legislation. So I hope that I can get your vote here tonight. We could talk about some pretty interesting stuff. Thank you, Marlon, for hosting.
Thank you, sir. 20 seconds to spare. All right. Love it. There is also another candidate. Do we have Gage? Oh, you are here. Okay. I see you. All right. Well, thank you for joining, sir. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Let me go ahead and reset the timer real quick here. Okay. Gage, the floor is yours.
Hello, I'm Gage Beck. I'm running for Nevada Assembly District 13. Our state is suffering under the malice of the federal government, overreach and incompetence, and we have a state government that's going along with it. Unfortunately, this is a situation that we can't vote our way out of as we used to. We can't just go back to the other party. The Republicans are in power right now on the federal level, but the Democrats will not fix the problems that we're facing. And the Democrats are in power on the state level, and they're not doing things very well. So I aim to run and restore bills that have died in the assembly before, that were good ideas, that were killed for partisan reasons. And I aim to also introduce my own bills that would stand up to the surveillance state, stand up to the federal overreach, and remove all this unnecessary regulation that's holding back small business owners, et cetera, et cetera. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. All right. And with that being said, thank you all again for introducing yourself. We'll start light and then get a little heavy. We're just 15 minutes in here. If it's a brief conversation, we'll end at 60 minutes. If it's pretty intense, we'll stretch it all to 80 minutes. So again, it just depends on your level of participation. And so let me see how I'd like to do this. I think the best format, since I know we're going to have a lot of engaged people here, there is a comment section, and I want to make sure everyone can identify the comment here. If you can, please go ahead and just do a thumbs up or a yes. I want to make sure everyone has that opportunity. That will be how we, in a way, raise our hand or react. That way, when I pose a question, the first person that chooses to engage will be the first person that will be called on. Okay. Looks like if you guys need help with that, please indicate, or you can remove your mute, I guess. Okay. And we have
where's the thumbs up?
It'll look like a comment speech bubble. If you click on that speech bubble, then you can send a message, and then through your iMessage. Yeah.
To chat with everyone.
Okay. All right. Perfect, guys. Well, thank you. Love the comments here. Let's start off with this question. What does responsible leadership look like in 2026? And how would you, and again, oh, sorry, let me just address this here. I'll restart it. So this is a question, this is a submission. This is one of our early submissions, and it's actually from Stephen. What does responsible leadership look like in 2026? And how do you rebuild trust among young voters who feel disconnected from the political system? Okay, so it's a two-part question. What does responsibility look like in 2026? And how do you rebuild trust amongst the youth? Who would like to address the question first? Please go ahead and hit the comments. So if you comment, whatever you want to comment on there, in the speech bubble, that's what I'll call first. Okay, so first up is the man who posed the question himself, Stephen Borella. All right, well, with that being said, I'll go ahead and engage the timer here. I'll give you a full minute. Depending on how active we get, I may reduce that time to 45 seconds or 30 seconds. But for this round, let's just do a full minute. Stephen, the floor is yours.
Well, yes, responsible leadership starts with remembering who government works for, the people. Public office exists to serve the public, not the other way around. Public trust is built one office at a time. When an office runs efficiently, operates transparently, and treats people fairly, trust begins to grow again. A lot of our younger voters feel disconnected because government often feels distant, outdated, or difficult to interact with. Making systems easier to access and easier to understand is one way to begin rebuilding that trust. But it also comes down to leadership. When people see public officials focused on doing the job well instead of playing politics, they start to believe the system can actually work for them again. At the local level especially, that's really what responsible leadership is about. Doing the job well, serving the public, and earning trust through actions, not promises.
Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate your response. Now, would anyone like to make a comment or pose a question to Stephen before we hear from someone else? Does anyone want to, say if the term is correct, rebuttal? I think he's pretty on point, so I don't think there's anything to contest in that. But let's move on to the next comment if someone wants to answer it in maybe a different way. So after that is Rafael. Why don't you go ahead and answer this question?
Yeah, I think Stephen had a lot of good points there. So I don't want to reiterate things he's already said. But what I would say is for young people, it is difficult to understand the system. And I think learning how it works is very important, and also understanding that this is politics, and unfortunately people don't do the right thing all the time. There's a lot of egos involved. There's a lot of deals that are made that don't necessarily serve the constituents. It's more about satisfying egos or maybe satisfying special interests. So people have to understand that that stuff does happen up there. So you don't want to elect people that are, that are going to be beholden to that, and make sure that you do stay engaged. Leadership looks like someone that's engaged with their constituents, as Stephen said. And, if you're a young person, you're kind of, looking at this political thing and thinking, what do we do? You got to stay engaged, talk to your representatives, talk to the candidates, ask them questions, and build a relationship, because when it's time to make the laws in the session, then you'll have a relationship to rely on. You'll be able to ask those questions and get answers.
Thank you, Rafael. Thank you. I do have a comment here in the comment section. JE says, it looks like understanding the people we serve. And then I also see, now this is going to get kind of fun. So you're going to test your moderator skills to delegate. Do not take this personally, but I do see multiple hands raised as well. Drew, why don't you go ahead and answer this as well?
Sure. Just briefly building off of what Rafael and Stephen were saying, I thought they were both good answers. Kind of coming back to what I was talking about earlier with you have to deal with governing with the hand you're dealt. I meant it figuratively, and Stephen brought the literal into it, but I appreciated that. But in addition to kind of listening to the people, it's also the responsibility of the politicians to become policy wonks and get deep on the issues, and actually in good faith engage on the issues regardless of the number of parties or sides involved, to actually driving to a conclusion. The people shouldn't feel like they have to get involved in the nuance of every issue. They elect us to go there and represent them, and it's our jobs to actually make sure we're fully understanding what we're talking about and the implications of the policies that we could be driving through, so that people don't have to have a backlash or feel frustrated or have that growing mistrust over time.
Thank you, Drew. I will let Tighe, you're going to have the last comment on this, and then we'll move on to the next question here. And by the way, if you guys notice that the connection can be a little bit spotty, maybe consider just temporarily turning off the video. That way no one's audio gets cut off. Go ahead. And I have not done the best job at timekeeping, but I assume we've all been within that minute. So Tighe, go ahead and make your final comment on this matter.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say something that Rafael said was how corruption can happen in our government. And that's absolutely true, but I want to say that that's all that happens in our government, and it's happening because of Republicans and Democrats, and that we can learn to understand the system, but just because something is in a bill and it's passed doesn't mean that it's not corrupt. Taxation is theft, and using tax dollars to fund private projects just because they're passed by a majority is still corruption. Nevadans are struggling to put food on the table and get gas in their tanks, and the only thing that we should be concerned about is returning their money to them.
Thank you, Tighe. And now with that being said, Jim, I'll give you the opportunity to speak. In fact, I also see JE's hand up. And now you gentlemen are in an interesting position because it looks like you're both running for CD1. So is that correct? I want to make sure I still have my information accurate.
I'm CD1, yeah.
Yep. Okay. Got it. So this is going to be an interesting question. Immigration and rule of law. So the question is, and if you need me to repeat it, please let me know, is how should Nevada balance border security, legal immigration, and humanitarian responsibility? So kind of a loaded question here. Why don't we have, Jim, why don't you take this question first, and then JE, you can follow up.
Honestly, immigration here in Nevada is pretty much the same everywhere. Legal immigration is what this country was founded on, but illegal immigration is a problem. I believe that we need, especially what ICE is doing now. The thing is that it's being so misreported that the ICE is being harassed and everywhere they go. But what they're trying to do, and what they have done, is they are trying to get rid of the very criminal illegals right now. That's their first goal, is to get rid of them, and that's what they're doing. Now, if you believe what the reporters say, then you're going to believe they don't do that. But the problem here too, it goes back to with leadership. It's the disrespect that they're shown, and as a leader, that's one of the things that I would like to do, is to get respect back in for law enforcement, for our first responders, and for ICE. And do they do things wrong? I'm sure they have, and then they deal with that at an individual basis. But
thank you, Jim. I'll go ahead and just for the time matter, I'm going to cut you off there. J.E., and I know I see mixed reactions from the forum here. So J.E., go ahead and make your statement, and then we'll kind of go back and forth with the other candidates as well. Hey, J.E., sir, it looks like you're muted. Why don't you go ahead and unmute your mic, and I'll go ahead.
Now?
Yes,
Great.
sir. All right, go for it.
So I think the first thing is understanding that, one, narratives don't work anymore. That's number one. Number two, when it comes to illegal immigration, we need to realize where the impact is there. When we're talking about drug running, we're talking about trafficking of people and all that stuff. That's the part that's more important than, okay, somebody came over here because they want to work, they want to make money. Like, we have to discern what's actually important when it comes to this. Yes, rule of law is good, but at the same time, continuing a baseless narrative is not going to do anything for anybody. First off, nobody likes liars. And if you don't know where you're at and who you're talking to, Mr. Blockey, you're talking to Gen Z. Gen Z knows you're lying. So they're not trying to hear none of that. Your old narrative, tired narrative does not work.
That's time. Thank you for your comments. I will allow the opportunity for Jim to respond since he made some statements towards him. Jim, why don't you go ahead and rebuttal? And I'll keep this short. I'll give you 30 seconds, sir. Go ahead.
All I've got to say is therein lies the problem with a lot of the youth today is, most you guys are youth, and I look to you for advice. I look to you for help. But when someone says I'm old and I'm lying, what good does that do? That doesn't help any kind of narrative. And just because I speak what is really going on, they're trying to get rid of the rapists and that kind of illegal immigrant. That's what they're trying to do right now. We're not just trying to go through and find out everybody. I'm involved with this. I've been involved with it a long time. But to just call somebody old and useless, old people are where you get your wisdom from. And I'm an old guy, you're right.
That's time, sir.
It should be looked at as for someone to come to for wisdom, not just
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. All right. And so I'll go ahead and just make one cautionary statement here. Jay, you made some good comments. Jim, you made some good comments. Let's try to keep it based off of policy and why you'd be a great fit, and not so much making remarks against one another in that regard in terms of age and whatnot. So I want to hear from our libertarians. Let's see who else wants to come up. Zackaraih, why don't you go ahead and make a couple statements here, and I'll give you a minute on this matter. And ready, sir?
Sure.
Go for it.
So, first of all, I'd like to respond to what Jim said in regards to our country being founded on legal immigration. I have my copy of the Constitution right here. Where does it say that? Where does it say that? It's settled here. I can actually tell you. Section 1 of, or Article 1 of Section 8. We have it right here. And it says that, make it a point here. It says that Congress has the power to establish a uniform rule of naturalization and uniform laws of the subject of bankruptcies throughout the United States. And so, okay, uniform of naturalization, that doesn't mean having ICE go around and harass people. That doesn't mean kicking people out of the country because they speak Spanish, kicking them out because they're brown. It doesn't mean anything like that. What it means is we're a country, we're a melting pot. That's what makes America beautiful, is that everyone can be American.
Zackaraih, that's time, sir. Thank you very much. And if anyone wants to make additional commentary on it, feel free to do so. Okay, yeah, we got Tighe, and then after that, I'll allow one other person. In the meantime, if you feel strongly about this, remember, you can utilize the comment section. We may read through those at a later point, but again, I want to make sure that we're addressing multiple topics here. So Tighe, why don't you go ahead, sir? 1 minute.
I just wanted to add on that it's a total lie that these people are getting the worst of criminals. We've watched them trample over states' rights and murder U.S. citizens. ICE targets people because of their color and their language. They've tried to deport people to countries that they have absolutely no relation to. We should have a pathway that's easy for undocumented people here to get citizenship, especially if they are paying taxes. If a business will hire a worker and they can agree on a wage, the government should stay out of it.
Tighe, thank you for your comments. Any last comment?
Can I make a comment on that? Because,
All right.
Zach was actually right that there is a path to citizenship, and they made a path, and our founders made a path, and they said the first thing you must do is assimilate to our way. That was in the reading that James Madison made. There is a path to citizenship, but you must assimilate to our way, our Christian way, the Christian values, our moral values. And if you actually, and they actually put in that if you didn't assimilate to America's ways within 5 years, then you would be sent back to where you go. But that's something that was in our founding fathers. And he's right. Section 8 tells you that the Congress has the right to decide. And, you guys are all talking like you actually believe that everything that you learn on CNN and MSNBC is true. ICE gets rid of the criminals who have been murderers, rapists, and they can prove it. They have proven it over and over again. And so,
can I interject?
Did they also murder a U.S. citizen in Minneapolis?
All right.
Can I please interject?
Gentlemen, I apologize, gentlemen. We will move on to another topic. I know that this is a heated thing, and I understand that there's much going on here, right? And I think that we will certainly agree to disagree. But remember, you guys are on the record here, and I want to show you guys in the best light, and we need to cooperate in these type of webinar settings. So let's go ahead, and if you have any supplementary commentary you want to make, please enter it inside the comments section. Remember, those can also be seen on social media. So anything that you can do to comment on there, go ahead, have fun with it. I want to move on to some different issues here. Part of being an effective politician, in my opinion, is being able to focus on local matters as well and not be bogged down by the big political parties and by the national issues. So with that being said, this is going to be more of a softball, but what is one Nevada specific issue above all that you as a candidate think is most pertinent? Again, what is one Nevada specific issue that is perhaps different than the national issue? You may think that nationally we have a big issue, but Nevada based, what is the major issue? And now in the comments section, I'm seeing first from Joseph Charafi. So Joey, why don't you go ahead and address, and we'll do 1 minute intervals here. Go ahead, sir.
I think one of the major issues we have here is human trafficking and child exploitation. Serving on a board, being the president of a nonprofit that works in the area, and getting word from people who actually are survivors or who are witnesses or who are actually dealing with it within their family. We're starting to realize, now the public mainstream wise is starting to realize that this is a huge problem and understand there is a huge shadow of evil that is over our city that we need to fight together. So conservative, libertarian, democratic, we need to come together. We need to be able to fight strongly for our children's future because they are our future. So understanding that human trafficking, we need to get ourselves off of that high rate of second highest, in the United States. Like, we're right behind Houston, and we go neck and neck, back and forth. So we need good legislation that we can bring in there, change some statutes in there, get some great initiatives in there to be able to help support our children, and not just through school.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate that. All right, let me go ahead in sequential order. After that, Tighe, you were the next one to do the ayes. Go ahead, sir. The floor is yours for 1 minute. Let me reset the timer and go for it.
So, of course, the biggest issue facing the entire country is special interests in our governments from the top down. But to laser in on Nevada, the insane Nevada energy monopoly has to be torn down on day one. We should have energy competition in Nevada. We should open up our state back to solar, allowing one company to distribute energy across the state. was a terrible idea from the get-go. The whole purpose of it was to keep rates low, and they've come in April to promise that they will raise them even higher. We should have energy competition in this state.
Thank you, Tighe, for your comments here. Next up, Rafael, I see you are up next here.
Yeah, so it's really tough, right, to just pick one issue. Everybody's issue in certain times is going to be the most important thing to them, especially as a constituent. But what I would say is going to be really tough for a local issue in the next legislative session is going to be the budget. The revenue is down in the state, and there will be decisions that have to be made on where you're going to have to cut programs or reorganize money. And I think that that's actually going to be the most important thing. It's going to cover a wide range of issues because the budget affects everything. Not to say that these other issues that were mentioned were not important, but I think at a local level of what we're going to deal with as elected officials locally in the state, it's going to be the budget.
All right. Thank you for your comments, Rafael. And just as a moderator, out of curiosity, I'd like to use, you have 10 seconds still remaining. What particular program or programs do you think need to be truncated or shortened? Or do you think that there are some things that are budget heavy that are consuming more than they should?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of different things. Things have to be looked at in detail. The thing that I have the most experience with because of my business is the Department of Motor Vehicles. We've given them about $435 million in the last 6 years to try to fix a problem that other states have solved for a lot less.
Thank you. Thank you, Rafael, for your comments. J.E., I want to hear your take on this. I know your hand wasn't up here, but as a CD1 candidate, I want to hear what you have to say. What do you think is the big issue that Nevada should be worried about?
Well, first and foremost is affordability. Affordability is down because the fact of the matter is it's 2026. It's been 5 years since COVID ended. We still have COVID pricing. We still have buildings that are closed at 10 o'clock now all of a sudden. Why is Walmart closing at 11, 12, whatever? Why are people aren't able to make money like they were supposed to? There's restaurants that used to be open. They're not open anymore. Now, instead of keeping things open, companies are just saying, hey, let's just charge more money. Now you're driving away all the money. You're driving away the money. Now you have to charge more. And then as a result of charging more, people are getting more desperate. And then that's the property owners that are charging more. It's just this mentality of charge more, charge more, charge more. No, we need to bring prices down. That's what Nevada was based on. Like, that's the reason why people came here in the first place. That's the reason why people go to casinos, or we're going to casinos in the first place. Food was cheaper, drinks were cheaper, rooms were cheaper, and that meant more money coming in, more money coming into the casinos. More money coming into the casinos means more money coming into the county, means more money coming into the county, means more money into the state.
I got to move on here. We got 1 minute. Thank you very much. Great comment there. Jim, I'll give you the opportunity as JE's opponent. Why don't you go ahead and address this? What is the #1 issue for Nevada?
Well, I deal with things as a congressman. I'm going to deal with things at a federal level. But my goal is to bring back to Nevada the truth, to educate people on the truth, what's happening up in Washington, D.C. And the truth is really something. There is a problem, no doubt, in our federal government and our state government. There's a lot of things wrong with it. There is LAWA Democrats, there's LAWA Republicans, and that's kind of like one of the things that we need to get rid of. And the most important thing is educating. And you guys, the youth, I mean, you guys are the future of this country. And you need to. And so what I want to bring back is honesty and just educate you on what things are happening in DC and to help what's going on here in Nevada. Because what happens in Congress, the bills I pass don't only affect Nevada, they affect the whole country. But Nevada needs to be educated on the real things that are happening in DC.
Jim, that's time, sir. Just wanted to ask a moment of clarity here. So the question was, what is the biggest issue in Nevada? So Jim, are you making the the assertion that education is the biggest issue, just so it's on the record for clarity?
Education is the biggest issue in the country, in every state, not just Nevada. And I'm a retired teacher, so I saw what was happening to our kids in our schools. And yeah, we need to fix that.
All right. Thank you, sir. We have two more in the comments section here, Drew and then Stephen. Drew, go ahead. I'll give you a full minute. The following questions, we may have to do 30-second intervals just to keep this moving forward. Drew, go ahead.
Yes, since we're dialoguing, I'll address some of the other topics that have been brought up. So Tighe talked about energy and yeah, driving toward energy self-sufficiency is important, but we also have to realize we're allowing ourselves in many ways to be de facto regulated on energy and our fuel supplies from California's rules, whether it's the CARB rules or whatever, because a lot of our fuel comes through a single pipeline in Southern Nevada and a single pipeline in Northern Nevada, that because those refineries are originally in California, we're kind of stuck with their laws, even though that's not what the people of Nevada have chosen. And we have to address that and diversify those sources. And then building on what Joey was saying, I think we have an opportunity for a fruitful discussion on addressing, with this group in particular, so many libertarians, how do we get Joey's goals of kind of fighting trafficking, giving law enforcement additional tools to be able to do that, recognizing that some of those tools, I imagine some of the libertarians here might not love or appreciate, and that's a legitimate policy balance that we have to discuss, and would love to kind of hear that talked through further with everyone on the call.
Thanks for bringing that to the floor, Drew. I appreciate that. So I will call upon libertarians, whoever in the Libertarian Party would like to comment, signaling that they would like to respond to that. You know, I guess the bigger aspect of it is how would you work together, right? You know, knowing that there exist differences, that there exists, you know, a clear size difference between the structure, and in some cases an ideal difference between the Republican Party and the Libertarians. How would you work together to kind of address issues that are important to everyone in a morality standpoint, things such as human trafficking?
Am I able to speak on that?
Go ahead. Yeah. And I'll give you 30 seconds on this one. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, yeah, absolutely. That's a major issue touching Nevadans, and I'm glad that so many people are involved in that. I believe that the government should be used if it's against force and fraud. So in the case of human trafficking, 100% force is being used, and we need to target these people and we need to go after these people rather than using the funds for law enforcement to go after people for jaywalking, basic traffic violations, drug use, things like this. So if we actually focus law enforcement on tackling the real issues like human trafficking, I think we could work with the Republicans a lot more.
Okay, so just so I make sure that I understand your position, Tighe, you're basically saying redirect a lot of the energy that is being currently funneled in for initiatives like ICE and say, well, there exists an issue with trafficking. Why don't we redirect that energy?
100%. No energy should be spent on these areas. They should all be spent where actual force is being occurred, where there's actual victims being made. That's where law enforcement money should be spent.
Thank you. I do want to hear from our independent here. J.E., looks like you're excited to go ahead and participate. Go ahead, sir.
So I agree with Tighe on that. However, this is my thing. The problem is that the issues start at the politicians that are in office right now. The people that have been in office all these years, they're involved in the drug trafficking. They're involved in the human trafficking. They're involved in all the issues, all the energy crises, the unsustainable pricing. They're the reason why they did all the backroom deals.
Thanks for your comment, J.E. Anyone else want to address this issue of, well, you know what, I know I go ahead. I went ahead and just kind of drifted off a little bit. Okay, Joe, you want to talk about it from the collaborative issue, and then we'll get back to the biggest issue in Nevada if anyone wants to make comments on that. But go ahead and address in regards to human trafficking, being that is your field.
Yeah, I would say it's something that we can definitely work on. I think to be able to work in assembly, especially since there is a ton of Democratic representatives at the assembly, we need to be able to work together. So we need to be able to go to our opposition early so that we don't get a crazy fiscal note from like some agency that kills the bill when we try to bring it up. We need to start working together. And I think human trafficking is perfect because there are no red children, there are no blue children, right? They're just our future and they're our children. So I think we need to work together, and we can, from a Republican standpoint, speaking to a libertarian.
Thank you. All right, that'll be time on that. If there are any more comments in regards to Nevada's biggest issue, I want to make sure I hear from as many people as possible that have not had that opportunity to speak on there. Go ahead and make your statement.
Yes, I will say I believe privacy is the biggest issue. Privacy matters to me because the recorder's office holds some of the most personal information tied to people's homes and property. When someone records a document with the county, they often have to include things like their name, their address, and other personal details. Years ago, that information mostly sat in filing cabinets at the courthouse. Today, it's online, and that changes everything. Now, companies can scrape public records in bulk, build large databases of personal information, and use or sell that data in ways that people never expected when those documents were first filed. Public records should absolutely remain public, but transparency matters. Transparency shouldn't mean making it easy for large-scale data mining companies to collect people's personal information. As recorder, I want to push for practical protections, things like limiting automated scraping of records, adding safeguards for large bulk downloads, and advocating for stronger privacy protections under state law, because our state assembly has let us down in that regard.
Thank you, Stephen. And you brought up something that is quite pertinent in the news lately, which is the utilization of automated systems such as AI. You may have recently heard the news about Claude and the relationship, their bid that was taken down because they were unwilling to provide some sort of access. Now, I'm not the arbitrator of all news on that, but you can look more into Claude and Anthropic and how, in their opinion, the federal government may be doing some sort of overreach to get private information. Now, I want to get some participation from Jim. I'm curious of this, being one of the more senior people participating in this, how would you handle something of this matter when it comes to data privacy and AI?
Not a fan of AI. AI right now, all AI is it just tells you what someone has put in there. So whoever puts the most information in, they appear to be right. And so AI, I'm not a big fan of it. My wife is even a less fan of it. When we did our pictures for our for our campaign, the AI kind of did a thing on her. She looked like a chipmunk. So it really wasn't it really wasn't good. AI, I don't trust it. It's not something that we need to. I think we need to be very cautious. I'm not a believer that it's going to be terminated or anything like that. I just don't think it's useful because AI, all it is giving information that someone fed.
That's time, sir. That's time. So, with that being said, I as a moderator, want to open this up to maybe some discussion here, simply because we are aware that other nations utilize AI extensively for perhaps malicious purposes. Now, this is something that is of interest for Nevada, so I won't talk about it in an international matter, but the fact is that there are many bad actors that utilize things as AI, as we have seen recently. When Las Vegas suffered a hacking incident, and local Vegas is usually under attack. So would anyone like to address some of the privacy concerns when it comes to AI in Nevada? Jay, go ahead, sir.
So I know that the casinos use AI for facial recognition, which I think should be illegal, because that's how they're using that to have security harass people. So imagine if that goes into law enforcement, which I'm sure it is already there, with reading people's license plates, or checking people's spending habits or whatnot. Like that's just a slippery slope, if you will. I think there needs to be a limit to how AI can be used, and I think it really only should be used for research purposes only. Research and for creativity, mechanical, technical things like that. But as far as like using personal data to identify, track, or even I guess
it's time, sir. Thank you, Jay.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. So, that's a good point that was brought up in regards to casinos, which are Nevada's big bread maker. So it seems that there has to be some sort of back and forth in regards to how we do this. I'm curious, what is a libertarian take on this? How would you handle, this capitalist ability to be able to utilize AI, but also have it be safe for the people? Would anyone like to tackle that question? Zackaraih, go ahead. I believe your hand is raised.
Yeah, so you refer to it as a capitalist idea, right? That this AI company should be allowed to do what they want and this, that, and the third. The problem is we're not in a capitalist system right now. We live under an oligarchy. What did we see? We saw the government pick winners and losers, and we see this time and time again. Under Trump, what do we see? We see a buying of 10% of the company of Intel. For someone who claims to hate socialism, like Trump says he claims to do, that seems very socialistic, does it not? That seems like the government involving themselves in the private market and therefore picking a winner and a loser. All it is all government is a goon that's there to tell you who's winning, who's losing, with Palantir, with whoever it may be.
All right. Thank you for your comments. I think this is, and again, I'm very grateful. I just want to state this for all of you and your comments. I think there exists an opportunity to kind of grill a little bit. But what I'll do this is I'll give everyone the opportunity to make one key statement, and then I'll open it up for open Q&A where you can ask each other questions as well. And then we'll go ahead and close out this forum. So I'll go ahead, and why don't I do this? I have my little list here somewhere. Should. Okay, and I'll go ahead and just call in no particular order people to address this issue, which is, and again, this is the Gen Z Coalition of Las Vegas, is an independent coalition. I am the chair of it. And so we are not, owned by any other group, but we are, again, it's in the name, Gen Z. So with that being said, I want to know how you as candidates would address the youth. So the question is, why should a 23-year-old in Las Vegas believe that your candidacy will improve their life, right? We live in a society where people get voted in, but no one really knows what they do or what their function is, or what is the net positive of voting for this person. I haven't heard from, let's see what I haven't heard from in a while. Rafael, are you still there?
I am, yes.
All right, sir. Why don't you go ahead and address this question? Why should a 23-year-old in Vegas believe you would make a difference in their life?
Well, what we do need is we need responsible people in Carson City in elected office, people that are going to be able to listen to issues and make the best deal for Nevadans. And I believe that's something that I can do as a business owner that has had to deal with overregulation from a state agency. I understand what it's like to have pressure put on you or have a government agency try to shut you down. And that's going to be really important, because if you want a chance to succeed in life, right, you're going to have some avenues. Entrepreneurship is a really big avenue for success. And so you want people in your local government that will allow that to happen. So I think that's one of the reasons why 23-year-olds should vote for me.
Thank you, Rafael. I appreciate that. And great job answering that within a time frame that I did not provide. I apologize for that. It was a 30-second answer, and you gave just around that. So that's great. So I've heard from you, Rafael. Why don't I go ahead and hear from I heard something. Someone trying to log in, perhaps. Oh, admit one guest. Someone is joining at the late hour. Okay. And we're pleased to welcome, it looks like Kimmy Johnson is present as well as a observer. So next, why don't I go ahead and I want to hear from a Libertarian. Gage, why don't you tackle this question, being that it looks like, if I'm not mistaken, you're one of the youngest candidates here. Why don't you go ahead and say this? Why would a 23-year-old in Vegas believe that you're having you in office would make a positive impact on their life?
Because I have the very rare skill of being able to listen to people. I was pushed into doing this just by listening to the problems that neighbors, friends, and family have had. For all different age groups, retirees, people in their late teens and early 20s. That's why.
Thank you, Gage. I appreciate your comments. Next up, Drew, why don't you go ahead and tackle this one? Why you, Drew?
Yeah, so I've worked in the federal government and in the private sector. I've worked with state and local governments across the country. I have a good idea of how the mechanics of government and politics work, and coming at it from a late stage millennial perspective. At the end of the day, I am a policy wonk. I enjoy getting into the issues. And I enjoy looking at them from a way of first principles on how does this make life better for a broad base of Nevadans and give them the most opportunity to live the life that they want to pursue. And that's how I'm approaching it.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. J.E., you're up next, sir. Why should people vote for you? Why would that make an impact on their life?
Plain and simply, I am a millennial who stands between the rule of the boomer, the mistake of the Gen X, and the ignorance of Gen Z. No disrespect to those who are Gen Z. Y'all just some things you just don't know. I've lived long enough to understand and see what needs to be done, and I think we can meet with common ground.
Thank you for that statement. All right. Jim, I'll give you the opportunity. Why don't you go ahead and say why you? Why would that impact a 23-year-old and their life?
There's nothing that I can say that's going to convince anybody to vote for me necessarily, but what I will do, and I promise to do, is I will listen. I'm open to what you have to say, but on the same aspect, I expect you to be open to hear what I have to say. Understand that, I have lived a few more years. I do have experience, and that's not always a bad thing. I'm a retired teacher. I was a math teacher, and I dealt with facts. And so anything you have to say with me, as long as you have facts, I will listen to it and believe it.
That's time, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that. Next up, why don't we hear from Tighe? All right, sir. Why you?
Well, I'm not here to solve people's problems. A lot of these people are going to try to talk, smooth and tell you that they have all the answers and that they've studied it. They know the system. They're policy wonks. I'll be honest, I hear that and I want to run miles away. I want to return power back to the individual, and I think that they know what's best for their own lives. Whether they're religious or not, whether they want to start a business, whether they're gay or not, anything. I do not want to run your life. That is why you should vote Libertarian.
Right on the dot. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you, Tighe. I'll go ahead and hear from, did I? Okay, I'm crossing this off in a poor way. Stephen, go ahead, sir. Stephen Borella.
Yes, I believe a 23-year-old should care about this race because the systems we run today will affect their future. If you ever want to buy a home, start a business, or invest in property, the public record is what protects those rights. The recorder's office helps make sure those records are accurate, reliable, and accessible when people need them. So to me, this race is about making sure the system works the way it should, efficiently, transparently, and in a way people can trust. Because even if you're 23 today, the systems we build now will affect your opportunities for decades.
Well said, sir. All right, Joe Charafi, go ahead, sir.
I'm sorry. Some of these are so prepared. I'm like, are they like they're responding these right now? Or are they reading something? I don't know. I feel like I need to be reading something.
I promise no one was briefed ahead of time. So I don't know. You guys are just briefed on everything. Go ahead.
Well, okay. So I don't think a 23-year-old should expect that one politician is going to magically change their life overnight. I want to be honest. So, but they should expect that, who they're working is going to open doors for them. And that means supporting good jobs, helping young entrepreneurs, and making Nevada a place where people can build a future, and I want young people to realize politics is it's not just theater on television, it is real. And stepping up to serve in their communities, it's important.
Time, sir. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate you. All right. Last but not least, Zackaraih, why don't you tell us why you? Why should a 23-year-old care?
23-year-old should vote for me because I'm 24. No, I'm just kidding. No, here's the thing. These people act like Gen Z doesn't know anything. And Jim brought up, okay, I'm a teacher, so you should trust me. So is Tighe. Tighe's a teacher. He's a special ed teacher. I'm a teaching assistant at UNLV. We're not idiots. It's not like we don't know anything. And then to quickly bounce off what Joseph said,
I didn't say
politics
you were
is
an idiot, by the way.
and that's the
I just wanted you to
problem.
know I did not say
The
you were an
problem
idiot.
with it.
Let's
This is my
time
time
to
to speak.
complete. I'm sorry. I'm gonna reset Zackaraih's time. I'll give you an extra
Thank you.
10 seconds. Go ahead, sir. Zackaraih,
appreciate
finish your statement, guys. Please, no interruptions. We will have the opportunity to ask each other questions right after this. So you're almost there. Zackaraih, go ahead and take it home. 10 seconds.
Thank you. Yes, so politics is theater, and that's the problem. We need to get rid of politics, period. People should run their lives, not the government.
Thank you. All right. With that, we are moving into the Q&A portion, which is, it might be the most heated portion of all. So I urge you guys, please exercise discretion. And remember, this is an on-the-record call here, so please present yourself in the best way possible. I also want to acknowledge that during this Q&A session, there are some attendees that may also be able to participate in this. They're not necessarily candidates, but they're here to see what's going on. So if we see any comments from someone, we can let them ask the questions as well. I believe for the most part, a lot of the people that are attending here are actual candidates. So in that case, we'll hear from a lot of others post publishing, perhaps in social media. So I'll pose it to the first person that wants to go ahead and make a comment. If you would like to question or cross-examine anyone on the floor, why don't you go ahead and make a comment if you would like to do that?
Oh, can I go?
Well, you already started, so okay, Jay, go ahead and kick us off in the spicy session here, the Q&A. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So
30 seconds, by the way. 30 seconds for each comment. Go ahead.
So I want to obviously address my opponent, Mr. Jim. Now, Jim, I know you were a teacher. I know you were a pastor. I know you were all these cool things that people used to respect. Now, the question is, what do you think is going to keep you from actually getting elected, given that times have changed, minds have changed, tastes have changed? What do you need to change to get elected?
All right, and that's time, sir. Jim, go ahead and address this. 30 seconds.
I believe that God has complete control over everything. I believe God will get me elected or he won't get me elected. There's nothing I can do either way. I stand for what this country was founded on, the founding principles, which is a less government, is a smaller government. We do need laws. Any country without laws is anarchy. So we do need laws, and we do need to enforce those laws. And that's the problem in America mostly today, is that laws aren't being enforced correctly. Not all law enforcement people are bad. Not all ICE agents are bad. Not all teachers are bad, and so forth and so on. And
That's
all right, you got it.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else would like to follow up in the conversation, or if you would like to call out someone else, you may do so, as you've seen that Jay has.
I want to bring up something earlier. When Mr. Blockey was talking about how the country was built on assimilation and the founding fathers wanted that, where is that in the Constitution, or where are you getting that idea?
It was not in the Constitution, but like Zach brought up, it was it gave the founders the right to make that. And what I was reading from was the laws that James Madison had brought up about the laws that they made that were bringing in legals here. And that was something that's not in the Constitution, but it was what the founding fathers had recommended and actually passed in their laws about people coming to this country.
That's time, sir. All right. Thank you, Jim, for responding to that. All right. It seems that we have some opinions here, and we have a hand raised from someone that has not participated yet. We have Kimberly Johnston. Kimmy, why don't you go ahead and pose a question to our candidates here?
I do have a question. Thank you so much, Marlon. This is wonderful, by the way. I love this setup. I have a question for the Libertarian candidates. Who are you voting for governor, since it's a close primary state, and why?
All right. With that, who would like to address that first?
I'll be voting for Lombardo.
I actually haven't made a decision yet.
I'll be
Why?
voting to NODA. None of the above.
Got to give a shout out to my boy JT.
I will most likely be voting NODA as well.
All right. So, Kimmy, you've heard from these libertarians, their position on it. Would you like to go ahead and ask a follow-up question or make a statement in regards to that?
Absolutely. If you're concerned, thank you so much, by the way. If your concern is for the future and libertarian values, which a lot are, they overlap with conservative values, why wouldn't you vote for a Republican governor and throw the vote away for someone, the left's machine, and basically make your voice not count? Because even if you were to vote for a Republican governor, it moves you closer to your end goal.
I ultimately believe that the only vote thrown away is a vote that you don't believe in. And I've consistently seen Republican voters vote for things like no new wars, or like smaller government, or like lesser taxes. And I've consistently seen Republicans not deliver on that. And so that's not why I'm going to waste my vote voting for another Republican. And also, I just want to respond real quick to something about the Libertarian Party not making a big splash. This is something that people will say a lot of the time because they don't want to actually address the critiques that libertarians make. But the truth is that libertarians win a third of their elections that they run. They win a lot of their local elections. Me and Zach are both running in head-on races. I'm running against a Democrat. He's running against a Republican. We can absolutely make waves in ways that actually affect Americans, not winning some culture war.
Tighe, you made a comment in reference to, it looks like Joey was the one that actually made the statement about the Libertarian Party. So with that being said, Joey, I would like to have your response to that. Why did you make that statement?
Yeah, I mean, there is a reason why the Libertarian Party has issues. Yes, they've won their different parties, but when you look at the major party system, the Libertarians, they barely make a splash. Like I said, they really make big office positions actually happen. So, and this is kind of wise because you guys are so spread out throughout the board. It's kind of like you guys believe so much that you should believe in what you think, that you guys don't get behind so much. You guys are spread so thin. The GOP, and especially the Democrats, they're able to get behind big ideas, which is why the Democrats run Clark County right now, why they run the assembly.
Okay.
I mean, 30 seconds, you know what I mean, Marlon? 30 seconds is not a lot to be able to get into it.
I do believe the Libertarian Party is unified on big ideas. That's why we are a party. And let me just say that the Libertarian vote usually covers the spread. Usually, just like right now, people are asking Libertarians, why aren't you voting for this? Why aren't you voting for that? We consistently get reached out to by the parties about forming coalitions and things like this because our votes do make a difference. People are always trying to win the Libertarian vote. And I think it's just silly to ignore the problems that are being raised by a political party, just to keep the two-party machine going. That, again, really is just funneling the same special interests.
So I'll just make a comment here.
Can I rebuttal to that?
Joey, hold on one second here. I just want to make sure that you guys understand that the purpose of the forum, again, is not to attack each other on a party-to-party basis. It is more to understand, where
I was addressing first a comment made about the Libertarian Party.
No,
come on. This is what debates are about, bro. Let us get into it. Let's go a little back and forth a little. You're cutting off the fire here.
I'm not going to cut it. Listen, I agree. To continue. I just want to reaffirm the overall mission is that neither of the objectives here will be accomplished, being that you have a Democratic powerhouse. So there has to be an opportunity to, yes, get behind each other's initiatives at some point. And again, this is purely as a moderator speaking on the overall goals, not to try to participate in this at all. But Joey, I'll go ahead and give you that opportunity. Then after
throwing me off, Marlon, you jumped in and you did your own talk for 25 seconds. All right.
Rules.
No, what I would say is that the Libertarian Party is it's filled with a bunch of like almost like nonpartisan folks at heart, and a lot of them do line up with conservative values. But the problem is that there is no main person that you guys really get behind. And that's the benefit of, if you really want to make a difference, you have to play the system. I want to save kids. So yes, I have to run in the GOP because I want to be able to use that infrastructure, the political infrastructure and the help and the support and the financial structure to help to be able to actually do something. Libertarian parties is a great idea in heart, but being able to get all those scattered separate ideas and independent souls together in one unified idea, just so hard, especially when you have no money.
I hope you're the first one. I hope you're the first one to do it.
Right. All right, guys. So with that being said, I know we've heard a little back and forth on this aspect. Would anyone else like to call anyone else out in particular in the Q&A portion, whether or not you are a candidate or you are a participant? Feel free to do so. Again, this is the fun portion where we get to scrutinize each other.
I have one more
I'm sorry,
time.
Jay. Go ahead, sir. Yeah, go ahead. I'll give you 30
I just
seconds.
wanted to,
Go
real
ahead,
quick. I keep on hearing about the libertarians and this, that, and the third. Look, I started my own little political party called the United People of the American Constitution, because we need to be united. Black, blue, green, brown, purple, yellow, all that other cool stuff. And feel free to just come on this way, and then we'll all just unite together and get under one thing. All of our ideas can stick and go and whatnot, and we can just make this run and get rid of both sides, Democrat and Republican. Because last time I checked, right wing, left wing, got to fly the bird, and wings never fly, like they never flap opposite of each other. But I'm the body. We're the body right here in the middle. You feel me? So
Well, there you have it, guys. Thank you. You have a statement calling for unity from JE. I want to hear from someone that's attending as well. Logan, I know that you've been listening in silently here and hearing from all these different candidates. You are not running for office yourself, but you have an impact here locally. Logan, why don't you go ahead and pose the question that you like?
Well, I just wanted to say, Marlon, first, I want to say thank you so much for hosting this forum. For those of you that don't know me, I'm a local Republican Party trustee, executive director of the Political Action Committee, state director of another group. But wanted to say that this is very much needed, and I just wanted to offer my service, Marlon, because of this, how great this forum has been, just to hear each other out and to have dialogue, which we usually don't get to see too often. So I just wanted to volunteer for the next forum that you may inevitably wind up hosting, so we can continue to spread this message, not just to the candidates that are here, but to voters and to people that are having dinner table conversations about the things that you guys are talking about tonight. So whatever I could do to help the mission from my side.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that, Logan. I really appreciate that. And folks, I hope that you have enjoyed your time here. I think this was very fruitful. I think these are conversations that we would not be able to have had otherwise. And so I will allow for 2 more comments, and then I believe it's a good time to sunset the forum for now. I'm grateful for you guys. If you would like to see more of this take place, we are not in the business of gathering funds. However, we do welcome the idea of having this in an in-person facility. So if you know anyone that would like to host this, and again, it is tricky because a lot of the hosts have sort of, prerequisites, right? And hey, we'll do this if we're allowed to put our banners here or this or there. And we're trying to do so in a very neutral format. Again, I tried incredibly hard not to scare off our Democrats from participating in this, but it seems that was not effective. So in the next session, if you guys would like to see more Democrats, please feel free to email, call them out, text, whatever it takes. I am making a wholehearted effort to get a hold. I want to hear from all sides of the spectrum. If you know me personally, you do know my own personal stances. However, that's not the purpose of this. The purpose is to hear from you guys who are running for office. I am merely just a conduit for you guys. So with that being said, any other comments before we close this out?
Yeah, I want to just praise you, Marlon, for what you're doing. And my honest opinion of Gen Z is I think they're probably one of the greatest generations in a while. I think you guys are trying to be you're trying to find out the truth. You're trying to educate the voters, because our founding fathers said the worst thing that can happen is you have uneducated voters. They're not talking about educating in school. They're talking about educated and knowing who they're voting for. And that's what they said the biggest downfall is going to happen when people vote for people just for the sake of voting and they don't educate themselves on who are the candidates.
Thank you, Jim. All right, final comment of the night. Zackaraih, is that you? Did you? I think you raised your hand. Go ahead.
I did. Now, to piggyback off what Jim said, I agree with him for once. I agree with him that you should know who you're voting for, that you should know that, you're educated in that respect to make that decision to vote for it. Hence why I would be voting no to any Republican, period.
All right. Well, there
you and I agree on a lot more than
that the lines are set. I appreciate you guys. Sorry, Jim. I'll go ahead and close this out now. Just make one statement here for logistical purposes. What we'll be doing after this is a pre-recorded meeting. The meeting does take some time to transcribe and host the video on it. So once that process is done, I look forward to publishing this in its entirety, likely in a YouTube format, so that your constituents can view it and can engage with it. I will notify you once that process is done. And then for the sake of transparency and openness, we may have some of these clips available. We'll give you the full liberty, as the moderator, to utilize clips and statements as needed. I think that's what this is all about, is making sure that we have the ability to educate our voters and be transparent. So with that, thank you so much, guys. And we will close out this forum. So hope to see you next time.